What if nobody gives a crap about my app? 50 ways that you can change that. Hello, everyone. I'm Tessa with IdeaPros marketing team, and I am going to bring in Fred Cary, and we have another guest that we're going to pull on, Jay. Okay, now I have everybody. So, hello.
Wow.
So I
50,000 ways, not 50.
50,000. Did I say 50? 50 ways? Oh yeah, no, that's not enough. 50,000 ways that you can change that.
Right.
So I have Fred Cary, who is IdeaPros marketing. Oh,
You're the marketing
I'm
person.
falling apart today. It's true. So there you guys go. You get some bloopers in that. I am Tessa with the IdeaPros marketing team, and Fred is co-founder and executive chairman of IdeaPros. And then we also have Jay. And Jay, can you pronounce your last name for me? Because I forgot to ask you how to do that.
Yeah, it's Mahanga.
Who is a mobile app developer and a key person in our teams for mobile app development as well. So we are talking all about mobile apps finally, guys. I know you've been waiting and waiting and waiting. So I see we already have a whole bunch of comments in our chat already. So clearly we had a lot of people waiting for our mobile app conversation. So thank you guys all so much for being here. I do see you. Go ahead and put hello or hashtag live so we know that you're there. But while you're coming in, I'm going to let Fred kind of introduce this topic and really go over what we're going to try to accomplish in today and why we even picked that title.
Well, thank you, and hey Jay, thanks for joining us on this. Is a very important show for a lot of people. We don't cover apps in general a lot because of the things you need to do as a business are pretty much the same, whether you have an app, whether you have a hot dog stand, whether you're building a great new electronics product, and we cover those fundamentals a lot. But there are nuances in building an app, and not only building it, but having it be a successful launch. And we thought we'd cover that, at least on the surface today. The reason that we say 50,000 is because we want to try to show you how to get 50,000 downloads. You're going to have two metrics, 1,000, 1,000. You got to get those 1,000 people that really love you, that are going to be your core elements that you're going to nurture over time. We're going to talk about that. And then once you go live, to get that first nucleus of about 50,000 people that are passionate about your app and how you grow from there. So the first thing is you really have to know who your audience is, right? The end starts at the beginning. There's so many people. Jay, you and I were talking about this. Okay, Tessa, you were talking about it too. They get an app idea, they go to an app developer, and they proceed to build a shitty app that nobody cares about. Hence our title. The very first thing you do, well before you build an app, is look at who your audience is. What's the problem that you're solving? How are you going to solve it in a unique way? Think of that app as just the road to get your solution to that person that needs your solution. So if you don't have that solution really ironed out, and if you don't know who that person is, you have a road to nowhere. And that's what your app amounts to. Be one of the 10,000 apps a day that get downloaded onto the apps, uploaded onto the App Store, and never find the light of day. So we're going to go through these steps, and hopefully it's going to help a lot of people by the time we get to the end.
Absolutely. So get clear on your target market and the problem that you're solving is number one.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Yep. I'm just gonna, oh, look, we got smaller. That's fun. Okay, perfect. So the next one is knowing your target audience, where your target audience is, right?
Yeah. Jay, you want to talk a little bit about that? How the big mistake is not understanding who that audience is, and just
absolutely. I think before you even think of what your app is going to be, I think you have to do a dive-in research, a case study of your app. Who is your targeting audience? And you're looking at traffic at this point. So today's social media is the best way to go about it. Unfortunately, not every social media platform is the right audience for your app. So it depends if you're building a information app or activity fun apps If you're building gaming apps, you have to know where the right audience are. So if you're building something, it has to be with home decor. I think the best way for you to go is, without a doubt, is going to be Pinterest. And if you're building a business app and that's your audience, LinkedIn will be about a best platform for that. Fun activities, you can use TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram at that point. But that's how you start knowing where the right audience is going to be.
So, go to where your audience plays, really understand that demographic of who they are and what social media platforms they're likely to use. And as you get into those platforms, now you can start with things like Facebook. You can start looking for groups of where that herds of your audience live, and go in there and infiltrate those groups and become part of those groups. Be able to even work up to the point, as one of our partners has recently done, becoming the administrator of one of those groups. So now you have this captive audience who really thinks that you're the best of the best, so that when you're ready to release your app, they're gonna listen to your every word. So become relevant with the people that are your likely audience well before your app gets released. I think that's a fair way to say it.
That is correct.
Yeah, that's a perfect way to describe it. So great. So we got 3 so far. We're really clear on what our app is going to solve. We know our target audience and where they're going to be. And then now number 3, for creating a compelling landing page.
Yeah, you want to tackle that, Jay, and then I got to come back.
Yeah, I think the main problem that we've seen so far is that you have an idea, like Fred was saying, you run into developer to develop your app. Developer will develop what you tell them instead of understanding your user behavior. So what we do is differently. Is create a landing page and start talking more about your app idea. Your users or your audience, you get to know them by asking questions. They come to the landing page and get to know more about your idea and read more if you have video content. Your job is provide them as much information and see how they react. I think that's the best way to find if people will love your app, or they'll tell you. People are honest. They will tell you, we don't need that. There's so many of that. I think a successful landing page to start talking about your app is critical.
Yeah, and anybody who watches me a lot knows that I don't want to disclose too much too fast. So you can start with something cryptic, that basically talks about, if you got this problem, we have an answer coming soon, right? And then as you get closer, and you're maybe a few months away, 3 months away, whatever the timeline, whenever you feel safe that you're close enough that people aren't going to say, oh, wow, let me do that instead.
Yeah.
Then you can start asking those hard questions. Hey, we're looking at these 5 different feature sets, and which ones are most important to you? Or we're thinking of adding this new feature. How important would it be for you to have that in our first version? And you can start testing that audience. And even though, if you worked with IdeaPros, we would have already done surveys of all those folks, which I'd recommend for anybody. But things change over time. And a survey that you had 6 months ago, there may be changes in the industry, in the universe that you're going to go into that those answers. So you use that landing page to start getting some updated answers. We're getting close. And then as you get closer, this is what it's going to look like. And these are a couple of the screens, and these are our colors, and this is how you register and guide your way through it. And even things like navigation are really important, because you want to have a really good experience. That user experience is fundamental into not only getting all the downloads we're going to talk about, but keeping them, right? The only thing worse than having an app that just sits there and does nothing is having an app that gets all these downloads and everybody leaves. Because because then you got that euphoria, and then all of a sudden you wake up the next morning and you have 3 people, and one of them's your mom. To be able to understand that fundamentally in app development, that user interface, user experience is everything. You got all this. The hard part's all below the surface, but nobody cares about the hard part. Everybody just cares about what's here, how their experience is, and whether you're giving them a solution, not with my hand, but whether you're giving them a solution that is really compelling and they want to use often.
Well, that's actually, we're going to go into that too, as far as the alpha, beta testing, everything. But before we leave this one, I just wanted to mention Fred brought up something really good, and that's building your followers early. And that is getting those audiences in, but how that ties into the landing page. Now you're building your database of people that are interested, and that is going to go into our sales funnel at the end. So we're going to put these all in the right order. So building your followers early. The next step is to pre-launch test. So I'm going to put that one up on here as well. So pre-launch testing, what does that involve?
Jay, you want to go?
Yeah. Pre-launch that you have a prototype now on the market. Maybe you can have a test flight. You can give it to as many people to test it. This is a critical moment of truth, is what I call it. It's going to be a lot of frustrations because either your audience doesn't understand the flow of your app, doesn't get the whole concept. But again, this is information for you to go back to the drawing board, and this is what we talk about. If you care about your users, they'll be your number one advocate for your app. They'll talk about it. But once you have your prototype, I think you should test it with all your users. Get as many people you can to give you feedback, review on this. A lot of people just try to get it out at the store without no prototype, without no testing with the audience, and that's a no-no. I think you should never do that. Get to know your audience, give them the tools, and sit and see what they will say.
Yeah, and that's why I was talking about those first 1,000 people. Those first 1,000 people are so critical because you want people that love you, right? The people that you've been nurturing over a period of time, people that started following you, but they didn't really know exactly what you were doing, but you intrigued them enough to get them to kind of hang out and see what this is going to be all about. Right. That's an art in and of itself, and there's plenty of other shows that we talk about that, how to market to people, how to get. Jay, you alluded to it. You don't want a customer. You don't want somebody to download. You want people that become passionate advocates of your brand, right? Because those are the people that go tell 100 other people that they have to try this experience, and that's where you're going to really get momentum. So that first core group of 1,000 people that you had this dialogue with and that you can safely test with, because if things are broken, if things aren't working right with that audience, they're very forgiving because you've been nurturing them and they feel like they're part of your team. And now you can alpha test, beta test, you can get really close to launch with people who are going to let you know kindly the types of things that they love and the types of things that you might want to tweak or eliminate before you get ready for a real launch.
Yep.
Perfect. Excellent. So then the next step, and I know we're just glazing over the top, and I definitely see your comments, guys. I'm just going to hold the comments till the end. If we get through this last couple steps, then we will answer questions for you on the live. But the last step is to use a strategic sales funnel. Oh, sorry, I just lost my audio. Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Technology. I love it. Tell us about the strategic sales funnel and how that works. And we already know we have a landing page, but what is this sales funnel and what types of sales funnels are there?
Yeah, Jay's gonna really handle this part of it, but let's go back. We're getting to the end, which is the part that you really need to know about going live. But this part is not going to get you anywhere if you haven't started at the beginning. and started with really understanding that audience, really understanding what you're building, understanding your competitors. So if you're an independent entrepreneur and you have a great app idea, just going to the app place and getting somebody to build the app you want is a horrible mistake. Forget about it. Don't go do a search for how do I find an app. Go do searches on how do I build my business, how do I investigate my audience. Try to learn the things that you need to know as a business owner, which the most important thing is your customer. Don't build something that you don't know your customer wants. Don't put McDonald's in the middle of a vegetarian haven. And so none of what we're going to say now is going to matter at all if you haven't done all these other things in the beginning. And that's why we've talked about them to set the stage for this. Now, I think there's probably 7 different types of funnels that we utilize to start attracting that audience. But Jed, you want to go over 2 or 3 of them?
Yeah, so absolutely. So now we're getting all the cold call a little warmer. We need their business, and I think at this point, the word funnels, you probably overheard them so many times. There's different ways. There's 7 funnels that is out there on the market that's mainly used, and for your app, there's 3 ways we can do this and make it a very successful. Now, if it's a successful launch, you get the 4.95 stars. Now you need more people to increment this. The marketing side of it and the funnel that we use is the first one that we use is lead magnetic email, meaning you're gonna bring them to your landing page or your app. You're gonna capitalize the data and you plug it into CRM. Get to know more. The biggest mistake I've seen is everybody want to just go straight for the kill. That's not the best way to do it. 10 to 5% it will be ready and be with you, but if you neutralize the audience the right way, you can keep the other 90%. And the other ones we use really well is the challenge funnels. This is a task that you give your audience to do. This is fun activities. When you give a task, people will do it. Everybody is in a busy world right now to care what you say or whatnot. But if you give them a task, they'll do it. If you say buy here, click here, they'll do it. So that's a very good strategy to use. And the last one is the affiliate funnels that you're going to use. You have to do your homework by looking at the big guys at the area where you're building your app for. If you're building it for doctors, go find doctors. That is a big name. If you're building it for restaurant, go talk to restaurant. If you build it for media, go talk to media. And those are the 3 fundamental that you will use to get a very successful launch. You get to your 50,000, and your 50,000 will bring the rest. Everyone bring 10 or bring 100, and that's how it goes. It's not a rocket science. It's how you do it, and you make sure you do it right.
So let's talk about the challenge funnel a little bit more. Let's put a little bit more meat on that. For example, could it be like a contest? Could it
Yes.
Some call to action that's going to do something? I've downloaded this app. Now you're challenging me, but I'm not going to do anything unless there's a potential reward for me. So how might a challenge work?
Yeah. So I want to bring a good, clear example, right? TikTok, before it become very popular, the video is record a video, learn a dance, and it's a challenge, and everybody bring it on. So that's a strategy that is big, because everybody want to be part of a big group. And then when you give a challenge, it gives them something to do. Then they're waiting, what's the next challenge is going to be. So that's a strategy is clear. I'm in a new dance right now. 1 million people learn it. And when you ask them where they learn it from TikTok.
So find something that by its very nature has a viral element to it, and you can develop this kind of herd mentality where people want to share something. There's an element to it where you want to be able to show what you've done to your friends, and by doing so, you really have engaged an audience. Now, every app obviously is not about dancing, but you can have all sorts of different challenges that would be appropriate for what your audience is. The point is with the challenge component of it is you want to create this atmosphere where people are not only engaging with you, but engaging with their friends to bring them into the mix. And you want to create that level of virality. I'll practice that word for next week. Are really, people get a better experience if they're sharing what they're doing, right? So you're not only challenging people, but you're creating an environment that for them to have the best experience, they're going to want to share. That's what makes it better for them. So, and there's different ways to do that with every single type of app. Obviously, we can't cover every single situation. You get a big white piece of paper, write down all the different things that you're going to do, and write down the most compelling parts of that and what parts of those things are shareable, and get people to start doing that activity to make it share. Let's dig into the affiliate part of it as well. You said to go to your different audience. If you have a medical app, you might want to go to doctors' offices, associate with them. Something for the restaurant world, work with those people. How would we work on an affiliate? Let's suppose we have an app that is really going to address the restaurant industry. What are the types of things that we could do to start building an audience there?
So how I see it is if you have an audience, every affiliation look for numbers, right? If I'm a big guy in a certain industry, the way you talk to me, hey, Jay, I have 5,000 clients that is related to your, to your community. So you want to give them an interest enough to listen to you, and you're able to use their name. Those are affiliate that will help you. When you use other people that they're big in the industry or they're high profile in the industry, will help your growth organically. They look at it as a market. If you go big, it helps them. You give them something in exchange, but you help each other at that point.
Yeah. So another example, again, in the restaurant space, let's suppose you have something that's going to help drive traffic for restaurants, and for a while it's going to drive traffic free. Why not go to restaurant chains and have them have a little card with a QR code on the hostess stand that says download here and be able to get the latest specials from our restaurant, right? And so now you can have 10,000 people. We're going through a big restaurant here in the course of a month, and they're all clicking on that QR code to be part of this group. So now you're using your target to be able to build the audience that makes you more valuable to your target. So you're using the people that you want to pay you as the very audience where you're going to start collecting the people that are going to make you big enough so they're going to pay you more. So that's how affiliate can work. Another way to, with several apps, is through social media, finding an influencer, finding two or three influencers that are in your field. Don't be bashful about giving up equity. If you have somebody that has 5 million followers and they're right in the sweet spot of what you're doing, and you go and you say, hey, I got some money to pay you to do a post, but I'm also willing to give you a couple of percentage points in equity if you become a regular contributor to this. First, see how those first posts go before you offer something like that. Let's suppose you got $10,000. You're going to splurge it all on one person that has 10 million followers. Hopefully they'll take the 10,000, but let's suppose they do. They're going to do a post for a day, maybe 2 days. They're going to put you on their story, and you're going to see what's happening, and you're going to monitor what happens and the type of reaction you get. If it's really good, then you can go to them and say, hey, look what you were able to do for me. Wouldn't it be great if you were doing that for you as well? and I'm going to give you a couple points of equity if you just become this regular contributor to our app. And so organically, through the use of partners that are in the business that you're servicing, you can build up a really good audience that way as well.
Yeah, that is correct.
You guys have covered a ton of information, by the way, and we have some people with questions in the comments. And guys, there were a couple about the difference between PWA. Fred, we're going to do a different show about that one, right? So I just want to say we're not going to try to squish that into this show, but I did see your question about that. Yeah. So we'll get to that.
Well, let me. I'm sorry to interrupt you. You can.
No, you're fine. It's your show too.
I think I saw 3 different people that commented about their $1 billion app idea.
Yes.
Don't build a $1 billion app idea. Build an app that solves the problem. If it's going to become a $1 billion idea, it's not because you built it. It's because that audience appreciated it. So focus on that first person. Airbnb is a great example. You know, we get partners come all the time. Build me in the next Airbnb. Okay, well, we'll do that. Airbnb started with 2 guys that had 2 air mattresses in a small little apartment in San Francisco, and they wanted to rent their air mattresses out for $20 a night when there was these big conventions in San Francisco and people couldn't afford the $800 hotel room per night. That's where Airbnb started. They started with 1 guy paying $20 to sit on an air mattress and go to sleep. So don't think about your $1 billion idea. Think about a problem that you are solving. If you focus on the problem instead of the money part of it comes. If you're focusing on the money, it's always going to be a $1 billion idea.
Yeah. We got a lot of people over at YouTube that are popping in too. So thank you guys so much. So before we take off, I know Fred, you usually leave us with a closing thought.
We can ask a couple of questions.
Okay.
Yeah, I can dive into the question though. I know it's not relative to this video, and Fred have answered it. But if you're asking about if you're listening and you're questioning is about progressive web app, it's not a rocket science to put it that way. For us, it's just our extra work to do it. But I don't want to confuse you with that.
Nina just asked, are PWAs as good as an app in the App Store or Google Play?
Well, let's see who has a PWA. Facebook does. Instagram does.
Gmail is one.
What?
Gmail is one. Is a good example of it.
Yeah. So depends on the application. Depends on your audience. Depends how you're going to use it. The great thing about PWAs, you change it in one place and it changes across the universe. You build it. It's going to work on your Android, your iPhone. It's going to browser, it's going to work on your tablet. Any change you make is immediate for the entire universe that you serve, and you don't have to go through the App Store. People want their apps on the App Store, but more and more you see, and it's a growing percentage, I think more than 60% of apps are not even downloaded through the App Store anymore. They are indirectly, but you go to a website, you do a search, you go to a website, and the website says, hey, download me. And you can download it. If it's a progressive web app, it can go right to your phone right from the second you click it. And you don't have to, if you have an app that you're getting money for, you don't have to pay Apple 30% of everything you make by having it in the Apple Store. You also don't have to get permission every single time you want to make a change. When you make a small change for a native app in Android or Apple, it has to be approved. If you want to make small changes all day long on PWAs, you make them and they happen. My opinion, 5 years, there will be no native apps. But mark this down, Tessa, put it on the calendar. We'll be doing a show 5 years from now, hopefully, from my yacht, Mediterranean. I'm getting too old for this shit. But Jay, do you have any other comments about that?
No, I think people the reason why they ask is based on price, and I don't want people to get fooled by it. It's based on what you're trying to develop, remember, it's just a website that behave like an app, to put it that way. But everything of the engineer and the design behind an app, there's a lot more complexity that you can able to do that with a progressive web app. So
it depends on the application. Each application, it's not the one is better than the other.
Yeah.
One may be better depending on what your application is. If it's a different application, the other might be better. That's a whole show in and of itself.
That's what I was saying.
Kristen didn't understand our first of the 3 sales funnels. First, the sales funnel is just the audience that you've built together, your email sales funnel of folks that you've been developing over time, and hopefully folks that you can bring over from Facebook, from your own website, from any other audience gathering places that you've been. But again,
to clarify though, that's the landing
road. An app is a road. That's all it is. Make a good solution and find people that want it. Whether you deliver it by app, whether you deliver it by website, whether you deliver it by carrier pigeon, if people love it, they're going to use it, and you're going to do better.
Great. So one last question, and then I'm going to let you guys go. We had Eclipse Sunblock, which we have is a partner of ours, and an amazing product too. Do free downloads.
With me tonight.
And he's with you right now?
Tonight.
Oh, cool. Okay. Well, there you go. Do free downloads with in-app purchases perform better or worse than one-time upfront paid apps? Great question. Very curious.
Most people don't, app and free are 2 words that are used together all the time. And when you're starting to build your audience, don't even think about monetizing it. Let that come after you have an audience. And then again, every circumstance is going to be different. Are you a user that's willing to pay $1.99 or $3 for an experience that's really valuable to you? Maybe it's some sort of a photo enhancing experience, so I look like I'm 40 instead of my age, and I might pay a couple dollars to use that for Instagram all the time. If you're a restaurant and you have a good facility, it might be great for you to pay a monthly fee in order to be able to be one of the merchants in your app. So I don't think there's one way is better than the other, but I do know that free is the best way to start getting your audience. And then you have this freemium component to it, that you get this for free, and now you got all these other bells and whistles that you start populating with over time. Jay, do you have a thought on that?
Yeah, so free, and it depends what kind of app you're developing. The bottom line, right? If you're offering a service, or it's different, because app is more for attractions of community building. So those are 2 different things. They're completely not comparable. It's based on what you're building. So yeah, that's the best answer for that.
Great. Cool. Well, I know we're right at time, so I know I have to let Fred go. Fred, actually, first I'm going to say bye to Jay. Thank you so much for being a guest on the show. Really appreciate you. And then I'm going to finish out with Fred if you want to do your closing thought, and then I'm going to stay on for a couple minutes and just put up some of these comments, because you guys put a lot of really, really kind comments in here. I just want to put them up after.
Yeah, and I don't think of these things as closing thoughts. I think of them more as the last thing I say before you leave me.
I think of them as like brilliant final thoughts.
Whether you have an app, whether you have a toaster, and whether you have this amazing new technology, forget about all this vague stuff and really get down into the meat and potatoes of what you're doing. You're providing something to somebody else. And the whole measure, it's not a secret. You don't build something, go to the app store, and people show up. You don't have that great new star in the universe and everybody finds out where it is. You need to focus on providing something that people need, and then going and finding where those people live and talking to them, making them part of your community. If you do those things, regardless of what you're building, your audience will come, your audience will appreciate what you've done, and your audience will grow and talk to other people about you. So focus on the people Don't focus on the product.
Perfect. Well, I'm going to let you out. I'm going to drop you out, Fred. I'll finish up with the comments, and we'll see you guys all next Friday at noon Pacific time. Thanks, Fred. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much again. If you haven't already followed, definitely click the reminder bell so you'll know when we go live. There's also a link in this post so you can get notifications by text and email. It's where a lot of you came from. And again, thanks so much for being on YouTube or Facebook, wherever you guys are. So I just wanted to put up a couple of our awesome comments from people saying that they really enjoyed. Lots of note taking from Brandon. We have Stephanie. She said it was a really good, informative show. Thank you so much. And I know, Kristen, you said you have a whole bunch of questions about APIs. So I know that you'll work with the team to get some of those answered. And maybe the next show would be able to explain a little bit more of those as well. And just Jared, Bill, thank you so much for being on with us. Goliath, High Rise Sports Chair. We have Kristen Kelly. Thank you again. Everyone will use your app. That's true. You're going to be in that process, huh? So awesome info. And Phil, thank you for giving us thumbs up, guys. John, I'm so glad to see you here. Mary, thank you, guys. We appreciate you all, and we're glad you took time out of your day to come and hang out with us and learn a little bit more. So we'll see you next Friday, noon Pacific time. And if you guys have any questions that you want to have answered, I know we went into, and I cannot turn off there. There we go. We went into apps today. We're going to definitely include more conversations about apps. So just keep us posted. Let us know what you want to hear more about. And we'll see you guys all next week. I hope you have a blessed week, and bye now.